before your physical exam is to collect the vitals. So this is often done as a technician or an assistant. You've probably, if you've been in that role before, you've done this before. But we're gonna just go over how we do it here at LMU. So to begin with, I've already assessed his mentation. I've determined that he is bright, alert, and responsive to his environment. Secondly, I'm going to assess his gums. So I'm going to look at his oral mucous membranes. I'm going to see if they're pink and moist, and you can see are pigmented in some locations. So find the area that is non-pigmented, and you can see that they are moist. They're not going to be dry, or they're not tacky to suggest dehydration. And then I'm going to check his capillary refill time, and I do that by finding the non-pigmented section, taking my finger or thumb, and gently blanching so that it becomes white. And then I look for the return of color, and it should be in less than 2 seconds, and that's going to suggest that he has adequate perfusion. And then secondly, for vitals, I'm going to get a heart rate, and this can be done with palpating the actual heart. You can feel the beat, or you can use your stethoscope and feel it that way, or you can even go and feel the femoral artery. So any of those locations are fine. And then I'm also going to collect a respiratory rate. When you are collecting your respiratory rate or your heart rate, we want you to be counting for 15 seconds. Oftentimes in clinics, you'll just count for 6 seconds. At LMU here, we consider that not adequate, so you're not counting for enough time to get an accurate reading. So make sure that you're counting for at least 15, and then you can multiply that number by 4, and that's going to give you the breaths or beats per 1 minute. So to assess his respiration, you can see he's panting right now, and it's completely adequate to write panting for your respiratory rate. Say he wasn't panting and it was harder to really appreciate his breaths per minute, I can put my hand just as the ribs transition to the abdomen, and I can feel that chest move back and forth, and that's going to give me a number that way. Or I can use my stethoscope and place it on his trachea and be able to listen to the respirations that way. To get a good heart rate, you can palpate or you can auscultate. The most prominent beat is going to be over the mitral valve, and that's going to be located at the 5th and 6th intercostal space. Dogs have 13 ribs. You actually can count 13, 12 all the way down to the 6th and 5th intercostal space, and you can see it's fairly low, and you can actually feel that beat, and that's the mitral valve. That's what you can count. Alternatively, your femoral artery is going to be located up in the groin, so I will find his femur and swing my hand dorsally, and I should be able to feel almost like a very small pencil kind of pulsing, and that's going to be his femoral artery that I can also use. Alternatively, I can use my stethoscope and place it over that mitral valve and find the heart rate that way. Finally, for your vitals, the rectal temperature, we're not going to be taking that during our lab today, but we do want you to know how to do it safely. So the big thing is that you're going to be using treats, so we would bring out the lick mat again, and I would just let him know that I'm back here. And so I'm going to let my handler know that we're working on the rectal temperature. I'm going to let him know, and I'm just going to gently lift up his tail and make sure that my thermometer is lubricated before I insert it into the rectum. So make sure that everybody's ready, and we have plenty of treats.